This is Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. I'm Larry Rhodes.
And I'm Ralph Eisler. And we want you to know that if you don't believe in God, you're not alone. There are a lot of atheists and free-thinking agnostics right here in East Tennessee. This is a show for them and for people who are curious about living a life free of supernatural beliefs.
This is a call-in show, and we invite you to call in anytime to the number at the bottom of the screen.
Okay, well, the Rationalists of East Tennessee have 4 regular monthly meetings. On the first and third Sunday, we usually have a lively roundtable discussion or a lecture. On the second Sunday, there's a book club, and the fourth Sunday is what we call a reflections meeting that's held in somebody's home together with a little potluck lunch.
The Atheist Society of Knoxville is a fun meetup, often at a bar or eatery. Tonight's meetup is at Barley's Taproom and Pizzeria in the Old City in Knoxville for food, drink, and conversation. And Friday, we usually meet for happy hour at the Beer Market. To find us at either one of these places, look for the silver-jacketed copy of The God Delusion standing upright on the table.
Okay, today is Tuesday, July 2nd, and we'll be talking with Jerry DeWitt, an ex-minister turned atheist who has a new book out called Hope After Faith. But first, we're going to have a little bit of in the news.
In the news, this is July 2nd, 2013. On the last day of last month, though, a group of atheists unveiled a monument to their disbelief in God on Saturday. Well, I guess it was Saturday. Yeah. To sit alongside a granite slab that lists the 10 Commandments in front of the Bradford County Courthouse in northern Florida. As a small group of protesters blasted Christian country music and waved "Honk for Jesus" signs, the atheists celebrated what they believe is the first atheist monument ever to be erected on government land in America. When you look at this monument, the first thing you will notice is that it has a function. Atheists are all about the real and the physical, so we selected to place this monument in the form of a bench, says David Silverman, president of American Atheists.
That's a pretty good-looking monument, I must say. It also serves another function. It's a counter to the religious monument that the New Jersey group wanted removed initially. It's a case of if you can't beat them, join them. So they decided to petition to put up their own monument. The American Atheists sued to try to have the stone slab with the 10 Commandments taken away from the courthouse lawn in rural conservative North Florida town knows best for the prison that confines death row inmates. The Community Men's Fellowship erected the monument in what's described as a free speech zone. During mediation on the case, the atheist group was told it could have its own monument too. So Silverman said, we're not going to let them do it without a counterpoint. If we do it without a counterpoint, it's going to appear very strongly that the government actually endorses one religion over another, or I should say, religion in general over non-religion.
You can't have that. About 200 people attended the unveiling. Most were supportive, though there were protesters, including a group from Florida League of the South that had signs that said, "Yankees go home." After a cover was taken off of the 1,500-pound granite bench, people rushed to have their pictures taken on it. The bench has quotes from Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, and Madalyn Murray O'Hair, the founder of American Atheists. It also has a list of Old Testament punishments for violating the 10 Commandments, including death and stoning. Yeah. That's for just about everyone.
About everything. Stoning goes a long way.
Yeah. Some people think that it's simply an attack by us exerting our existence. They think a monument on a public lawn, that if you put it in context, they put a monument on a public lawn that if you put it in context says atheists should be killed and burned for eternity. This is an attack, but it's an attack on Christian privilege, not an attack on Christians themselves, and not so much an attack on Christianity.
Right, and at one point, someone in a car driving by tossed a toilet seat and a roll of toilet paper into the crowd. Neither struck anyone. Another point, Eric Hoven, 35 at Pensacola, jumped atop the peak of the monument and shouted his thanks to the atheists for giving a platform to declare that Jesus is real. Atheists shouted at him, and he stepped down after a minute, and one man yelled that religion is a fairy tale. I have to tell you, this fellow Eric Hovind, he's the son of Kent Hovind. This guy goes around the country trying to give talks about how the earth is only 6,000 years old.
And evolution is false.
Evolution is false, etc. And he spent some time in Florida in prison in Florida for tax evasion. Is he still there? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, the atheists said they expected protesters. There always are some, said Rick Wingrove, the director of the Washington, D.C. area Office of American Atheists. We protest their events, they protest our events. As long as everybody's cordial and let people speak, it's okay. This is our day, not theirs, but we're fine with them being here.
Okay. A call to the group that sponsored the Ten Commandments Monument, the Community Men's Fellowship, wasn't returned, but the group gave Facebook updates to the legal battle with the American atheists and praised the compromise that allowed them to keep their Ten Commandments Monument. Ten Commandments Monument. We want you all to remember that this issue was won on the basis of being a free speech issue. Don't be alarmed when the American atheists want to erect their own sign or monument. It's their right. As for us, we will continue to honor the Lord, and that's what matters, that group said. While Silverman said he believes religion is wrong and teachings in the Bible are violent, he said he welcomes non-Christian religions to follow the atheist example and put their own monuments in free speech zones.
Yeah. He says, I will back them because they're right. That's their right. And this is one of the tricks that Christians have used because they go up and call it a free speech zone and they're unopposed. They get their government legitimization because nobody else calls their bluffs and puts something in. For video coverage, search YouTube for Atheist Monument Dedication, Stark, Florida.
That's right. Now, back to the regular show program. Today we have a special guest on the telephone with us. His name is Jerry DeWitt. He was a former preacher turned atheist, and he's gone through the
Clergy Project.
Clergy Project. He was the first graduate, I believe, of the Clergy Project. This is a group of people who were ministers, preachers, and other evangelicals, and they have lost their faith, become atheists, and the Clergy Project helps them get into a new footing. Amazon Online says that Jerry DeWitt's struggle for identity and meaning mirrors the one currently facing millions of people around the world, both agnosticism and atheism entering the mainstream. One in five Americans now claim no religious affiliation, according to a recent study. The moment has arrived for a new atheist voice, one that is respectful of faith and religious tradition, yet warmly embraces a life free of religion, finding not skepticism and cold doubt, but rather profound meaning and hope. Jerry has a new book out, Hope After Faith. It's the story of one man's evolution toward the committed and considered atheism, one driven by humanism and profound moral dimension, and a happiness and self-confidence obtained through living free of fear. Hello, Jerry, and welcome to Freethought Forum. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. It's truly my pleasure to be with you.
So this new book is out. It's about having hope after faith, but that's kind of a contradiction, isn't it? At least the religious would have us think that way.
Yeah, it's amazing. If anyone saw the MSNBC, I was on Morning Joe, and right off the bat, Joe was very quick to inform us that without faith in God, that we were hopeless and could have no hope. But obviously, free to have his opinion, but most of us beg to differ. There's a lot of hope, and my life is filled with hope, as I know yours is, and most of our listeners.
Okay. Now, this wouldn't be the hope that the religious have in an eternal life and life after death. What kind of hope are we talking about here?
You know, here's what we have come to appreciate. If we are correct that there is no life after this life, and we don't see any evidence that there is, then that makes this life even that much more special and beautiful. And so what we're seeing is the human race, the human species, developing civilization where things are continuously getting better, standards of living are getting better, Advances in science, of course, brings advances in medication, and so lifespans are getting longer. Things are getting better in almost every direction that we look. That gives hope not just for the future of humanity and the future of this planet, but it also gives the individual a reason to appreciate their day, appreciate the moment that they're living in, and to have hope that future moments are going to be enjoyable and adventurous as well.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, in connection with what you've just said, I remember Lawrence Krauss, who's a physicist and debating theologians, says that he asked them one question that they never seem to be able to come up with an answer on. That is, what has religion contributed to knowledge in the last 400 years? And you just made the point that science has contributed greatly, and that's where our standard of living comes from.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that's something that is taken for granted many times by the religious community. It's amazing, and of course, I can't, I don't have a liberty of being judgmental towards religious people because I was part of that community for really the entirety of my life, but the Bible that ministered in it 25 years. So it would be it'd be very hypocritical for me to be too judgmental towards believers. But now that I see the forest for all of the trees, doesn't it seem so obvious that all of the aspects of life that seem to be growing and improving and are progressive to the enhancement of our well-being are basically contributed to science and reason and critical thinking?
Yeah, absolutely.
So true. I've always figured that I felt that religion was a backward looking. I mean, the whole thing is about who did what back then, and they really don't have anything going forward except the end of the world. I mean, we don't even need to take care of this one because, quote, Jesus is coming next week. We don't have to worry about it. Such thing.
That's right. And part of the hope that I have, and it's not, I wasn't a very good Christian evangelist, so I don't consider myself to be a very good atheist or secular evangelist. I do consider myself to have more of a pastoral personality, so I try to meet people where they're at. But even with that being said, another aspect of life that gives me hope is how rapidly it seems that the secular demographics in our society are growing. And the more secular we become, the fairer our government can become, and the more we can take control of policy, create policies that will benefit all of humanity, including the planet. That's something that's obviously very serious and needs to be taken very seriously.
Yes. I think some of the Christian groups are coming on board more so far as concerns about the planet and exploitation and kind of eliminating vital resources by overfishing or by putting too much CO2 in the air. I was glad to see some of the Christian churches come along in that connection.
You can never, you're exactly right, and you can never underestimate how consumer-driven religion is, by and large, especially the mega-church trend and the very commercialized version of Christianity that exists within the U.S. So as the average citizen or religious consumer becomes more and more conscious of the danger that our economy can create for the well-being of the planet, the more and more Christianity itself has to shift its perspective and move from, well, Armageddon is coming regardless of what we do, so why care about today? They will respond to the consumer base. They'll be consumer-driven, and they will say, well, since everyone now cares about the planet, then of course God wants to do it to the planet. So, that's just another reason to be hopeful for the future. Christianity itself is evolving.
Yeah.
Now, I understand that that you were saying that you're not much of an evangelist as far as atheism, but I understand that you're going to be opening what a lot of the media is calling an atheist church. Would you like to talk about that a little bit and its goals?
Sure. So here's the long and short of this idea. When I first entered into the secular movement, I was warned by some to lose my preacher persona. And I don't feel like it's a role that I play. I feel like it's a self-expression because I grew up, in and around the evangelical world, and so this is what I find natural. But to everyone's surprise, including my own, my preacher persona, as it were, has been accepted pretty well. Obviously, there's some people that have been so offended by their religious experience that my way of talking and looking and acting, speaking, can disturb them, and I can appreciate that. There's other people that it causes confusion, and they feel like maybe it creates too many loopholes in the debating arena. But there are many people, especially in the Deep South, that they find it nostalgically satisfying and comforting. So, the obvious question is if there is room in the secular world for a minister, is there room in the secular world for a truly secular church? And of course, lots of people have attempted a lot of different things, and there of course are institutions that are not completely secular, but also do a very good job of allowing atheists and agnostics to be at home, in their congregation. So I was asked by some folks from Latrobe, Louisiana, which is just a little south of my home, if I would be interested in starting a truly secular congregation. And of course, the media likes to call it atheist church. There's just no such thing as bad press. We obviously allow that to continue, but it's really just a church for atheists to be completely comfortable.
There's a thread going through the atheist community that you really can't get a should from an atheist. In other words, if you don't believe something, you can't get a plan of action from non-belief. What is it that you will be, quote, preaching in an atheist-type church or a secular church? Would it be something based on humanism, for instance?
Exactly. That's a fantastic question. And it's another reason why calling it atheist church truly is a misnomer, because you can't build a religion or even build anything that resembles a religion or uses some of the infrastructure of the institution of religion with pure atheism, because there's nothing there to build upon. And so that's a great point to be made. What we will be doing is really focusing on humanistic, life-enhancing values. My conviction is this, that by and large, the mega churches and the most simple thing of mainstream or even progressive Christianity, all they really do is preach self-help, motivational messages. And they then have to package in Christianese in order to not get in trouble with the more conservative portion of their consumer base.
Yeah.
If we strip all the Christianese away, and all that is truly left is humanistic, self-help, motivational messages, I think that's something that's positive and not negative.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot of the Unitarian Universalist churches are pretty much that way. They do vary, but a lot of the members actually are atheist or agnostic.
And we have to admit, or the audience would have to admit, that they're pretty successful churches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. I've spoken in several of the UU churches. I have a lot of wonderful friends in the UU churches, and I think that the UU churches they're a great avenue for many atheists and agnostics, and for members of the Clergy Project to eventually move into. I investigated becoming a UU member or minister, and it was really just the timing of things that forced me out and pushed me into this rat race life I'm living at the moment.
Yeah.
That is me from going any further with the UU. Sometimes you'll hear a little ripple that, on one Sunday the UUs represent, they have like they are one day, and then on the next Sunday, they may give a lot of credit or room to something that's a little more supernatural.
Yeah.
So, what we're trying to do is really have something to where it is so strictly secular that you don't have to worry about the fanaticism.
Right. I almost hate to ask this question, but will you be singing hymns?
Yeah, I think that we will, and I think there's a fair set of secular hymns that are being developed. I think thinking congregationally in unison is an important part of the quote unquote church experience,
And
which is different. Which is different than sitting at a concert and just listening to someone else.
One could argue that any song that's not religious in nature is a secular hymn. You just have fun singing.
Right.
Yeah. We had the rationalists once a year have an invited speaker come in and open up to the public. And a couple of years ago, we had J. Anderson Thompson, and he got us all to link arms and get up and sing and sort of wave back and forth to try to show us what that experience really felt like and how it got to be insinuated into the group. That is the whole type of collective mindset that brings.
Right.
Let me just take a second to invite our callers, our viewers, to call in. The number is at the bottom of the screen. This is a viewer call-in show, so we're welcome to handle your questions and comments if you'd like to call in.
Right, and if you want to make a comment to Jerry DeWitt, please do so.
We can do that. Okay, Jerry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was simply going to say, I guess now it's a couple of weeks, since the book came out on the 25th, I've been running so hard, I'm losing track of dates, but on the 23rd of last month, we had a secular service in Baton Rouge, which is our state capital. And, the music before the service started was good jazz music, the background music, and then the very first song was Louis Armstrong, What a Wonderful World.
Oh, yeah.
In the midst of the service, we had all young stuff, fun, singing We Are Young, and then we kind of wrapped up the service with, trying to think of what they were. It was all completely secular music, and then background music at the end, right before the question and answer session, which was something that we insisted on having. We don't feel like it's fair for the preacher to get up and say his spiel for 30 minutes and the congregation not get to ask questions.
Right.
Yeah.
We had a question session.
That's a great idea.
It's funny that in these congregations you see all kinds of hands go up, and none of them are questioning.
Yeah.
Right. So we made sure that we had time for questions and answers, and then as we had our reception, there was good, Zydeco dance playing in the background. So it was really about celebrating life. The theme of the service was the delight in being alive, and that's where the secular movement, with time, I think, will refine our message, for lack of better words, to such a degree that people will begin to see that we do have hope after faith and that we are truly delighting in being alive.
Mm-hmm. True.
Yeah, about a year, maybe a year and a half ago, Terry Mattingly had a column in the Knoxville News Sentinel. Are you familiar with Terry? He's a religious reporter.
I don't think so. There's a lot of things I'm still...
Yeah, I know. He had this column about ministers who were still behind the pulpit, but who no longer believed, but were kind of stuck in that position because they had to support families, and they weren't trained to do much else. And I think this Clergy Project is trying to help people like that a good bit. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Anyone who has any questions whatsoever should go to the Clergy Project website, clergyproject.org, contact the director, Kathy Duncan, and they'll be surprised at how much the Clergy Project is beginning to offer. We have almost 500 ministers now, over 100 of which are still active in the ministry, trying to find a way out of the ministry.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, there's just numerous reasons why people feel as if they're trapped in the ministry. But one project going on for these ministers is Todd Steeple to the Steeple Foundation donated $100,000 to the Clergy Project to help ministers find new employment.
Well,
So this is something pretty significant.
who donated that? I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
Todd Steeple from
Oh,
the Steeple Foundation.
Steeple Foundation. Yeah, great. Fantastic.
Yeah, very exciting.
Very cool. Dan Barker and Daniel Dennett set that up. Is that correct?
Right. If you go to the website, you can get the official, historical, analysis of how it all came about. But just the particular answer to that is that a conversation began to develop between Dan Barker and Professor Dawson. At the same time, Daniel Dennett and researcher Linda Lascola began to try to study this phenomenon of non-believing ministry. So these conversations, my understanding, somewhat combined together because Daniel Dennett and Linda Lascola knew that Dan Barker, being an expert himself, probably had connections with people they interviewed for their study. And so really, the four of those people began to develop this idea, and the Dawkins Foundation put up the money to create the website and to get the forum active. And Dan Barker then began to invite people into the forums, people that he had built relationships with, and of course, then by word of mouth, it became a spread, and eventually we had a public site for
Do you have any words of encouragement or advice to ministers who may be watching this and feel trapped in their ministry?
Absolutely. First and foremost, the non-believing minister needs to know, and pardon me if I get a little emotional in this because this is where my heart's at. They need to know they're not alone. And they need to know, I'm going to say all of this in my southern vernacular, they need to know they ain't crazy. That they're not sabotaging their life intentionally. It's very easy to doubt yourself when it seems as if no one else around you is doubting your religion. And it can't help but ask yourself as you go through this process, am I being self-indulgent? Am I engaged in self-sabotage? Or am I truly trying to have the highest level of self-integrity? And I would say to those doubting ministers, you are doing exactly what you were taught to do. You're doing what you thought the Bible told you to do. You're doing what you thought God told you to do, which is to pursue the truth and to live the truth. And that's what gets you in this position of a love for humanity and a love for truth. You're not alone, and we're developing strategies to help save your life and your family.
Yeah. It seems to me that in the training of preachers, the present day, most of these academics pretty much expose them to the higher criticism of the Bible, and that the preachers go through these courses where they learn that the Bible really isn't literally true. But when they get back out and get congregations, they cannot express what they've learned in school a lot of times. Is that...
That's correct. Now, I think at one time in Christian American history, that was more likely to happen because the higher, the institutions of higher learning, theological studies, were liberal, and it would go through the process you just described.
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately, in more recent Christian history, denominations have created their own seminaries.
Uh-huh.
So you're not nearly as likely to have to go to Harvard or wherever.
Yeah.
In order to theological studies. Now, if you're Baptist, you can go to a Baptist school. If you're Pentecostal, this is Pentecostal.
Uh-huh.
And there, you're not as likely to be exposed to the criticism.
But one
And
Roman Catholic Church. They have a hierarchy that has a standardized college education, seminary education. All of the priests should be exposed to these ideas during their seminary experience. Yet they come out and they just preach the most basic believe or be damned type of theology to the people in the pews, I would think.
Yeah, and there, unfortunately, there is, and trust me, there's no one in the secular movement who loves and appreciates ministers more than I do. So I always try to be very balanced about my criticism. And I never mean to paint with a broad brush and to criticize generally, because I know each person's life stands on its own experience. But there is a attitude of superiority within some ministers that they're able to handle the truth, where the lay member is not able to handle it.
Right.
Yeah.
The lay member is then the normal platform, because that's what they need in order to function within their life. And obviously that's just not true, and it's not fair.
Right. Okay, we're going to take just a minute to identify our sponsors, and then we'll be right back. In case you're just turning in, this is Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. Freethought Forum is funded by them and by individual contributions. Shows are live most every Tuesday from between 5 and 6 p.m. Eastern Time on this community access station. You can also see it streaming online outside of the Knoxville area by going to ctvknox.org.
Okay. This is a call-in show, and we're live today, July 2nd, 2013, and viewers can call in now to the number on the screen or tweet them to us at FFTVKNOX.
The Atheist Society of Knoxville, or ASK, meets 2 times a week, and we have evening meetups for food, fun, drink, and conversation. ASK's purpose is to supply a venue of camaraderie, community, and outreach to atheists, agnostics, freethinkers, and other like-minded persons in the East Tennessee area.
Okay. Well, yeah. Sam, you want to run the...
Do you find stories of talking snakes laughable? Do you prefer the scientific method over supernatural beliefs? Are you concerned about religious leaders and organizations imposing their values and rules on your body, your family, and the rest of our society? Well, take comfort in the fact that you're not alone. The Rationalists of East Tennessee meets weekly for fellowship and provides a forum for people who support skeptical thinking and rational discussion of these and other issues. To find out more information or to find out about our next meeting, visit us on the web at www.rationalist.org. If you live in or around the Knoxville area and are questioning your religious beliefs or simply believe in one less God than everyone else, well, you're not alone. The Atheist Society of Knoxville is a fun and friendly group of people just like you that meets twice a week at a bar or restaurant. We meet every Tuesday night following the show at Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria for happy hour. You'll find our group either inside or on the patio. Look for Richard Dawkins' silver-jacketed book, The God Delusion, standing upright on the table. On Fridays, we meet at Agave Azul or the Beard and Beer Market. But if you plan to preach, proselytize, provoke, or punch, please don't. We all question what we believe at one point in our lives. If this is the time for you, come join us for food, drink, conversation, and fun.
Jerry.
Okay, well, we're back here live.
Okay. Hold on just a second.
We just want to make one more announcement here. The Rationalists of East Tennessee has Sunday activities involving lively presentations and discussion of subjects that are topical and timeless. Once a month we get together for a book club. You need not have read the book to attend, but of course it helps.
Both the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee help provide a social outlet where if you find that you don't believe in God, you're not alone. Okay, back to Jerry DeWitt on the phone. Welcome back, Jerry.
Great speaker. Thank you.
Okay. Now, I guess Dan Barker can commiserate that he didn't have a Clergy Project when he was leaving the fold. Has he talked to you about that?
He has talked about it, and he is, obviously he's very thankful that this second generation does have, but at the same time, he has he's expressed, I think a very sincere regret that he was somewhat on his own as he was coming out. So yes, he just talked about that.
Yeah. How did your family treat the idea of you coming out as being an atheist?
It really just depends on. We could almost list everyone in my family and take each one individually because, people really do handle things uniquely.
Yeah.
My wife, we already had a troubled marriage in many ways because of the ministry. She wasn't very excited about the public life that I lived, whether it was in the ministry or whether it was through public service. I'd worked off and on at our local city hall for 10 years. And also, when this became public, it was more than she could bear, the ostracism. And really the how critical the image was more than she expected. She left it, and she even we're trying to reestablish our relationship right now, but it was hopeless at one point in time. My son, he had actually come out before I did. He's very much my hero and my right-hand man. My mother, my stepfather, my stepsister, and my grandmother, they've been supportive, but at the same time very disappointed about this part of my life, very concerned about this part of my life for different reasons. Once you get beyond that, most everyone else has pretty well either just walked away from us pretending that we don't exist, or they've gone as far as attacking us on Facebook and, making sure we understand that.
Yeah. I really have a hard time relating to this ostracism that people feel when you come out and say you're an atheist. I just can't understand it very well.
Yeah, I recently had a cousin tell me that I must be a very miserable person without God. I tried to reassure her that I was not. But
right.
I do.
Well, they can't believe it because of their theology. But at the same time, I think it was compounded by the fact that I was a minister. The best way that I can describe it is it's the way you would feel when you would hear that a United States soldier had suddenly started working for Al-Qaeda. That's how seriously people in the Deep South take their religion and take the ministry.
Yeah.
It's a huge betrayal in their mind.
Yeah, right. There's a them and us attitude, right?
Absolutely. That's exactly right.
That's really too bad. So.
Once again, I'd like to tell the callers or the viewers that we have open phone line. We'd be more than happy to have your comments or questions. And the number's at the bottom of the screen. You can call at any time.
Okay. So there's a question that came up when I was reading something, and that is, if you're an atheist, do you think you have a moral obligation to come out as an atheist?
Is that question for me?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a part of me that wants to very readily say yes. And at the same time, I feel like that every person have to figure out what their life is about and what it is that they want out of life, what their goals are, because I think if we're too quick to say everyone has to come out every time in every way, to be honest with you, it kind of sounds a little religious to say it that way, because for me, the reason why atheism is such a big deal at the moment is because, unfortunately, in the 21st century, in the United States, individualism is still not fully appreciated or allowed.
Yes.
Just the same, the gay lesbian movement has had to fight for its right to be independent and to be national as they are.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing the same thing as secular people.
Yeah.
And so, if you're looking at it from a global perspective of I think everyone has to decide what's best for their life, what's best for their family. I definitely will not recommend people pretending any longer than they have to, simply because of the grief that you live with when you're living in that type of.
Well, you're essentially living a lie, and that can't be good for your own psyche.
Yeah, but it has to be, you have to have a practical view on this, I think. Everybody's situation is different.
I agree. It
Yes.
still can't be good for you.
It was my religious experience and the way that I looked at religion that really did so much damage to me personally and did so much damage to my family because from the religious mindset that we possess, we felt obligated, or at least I felt obligated, to sacrifice everything in order to accomplish the greater good. And that's probably why I draw back a little bit from the idea that everyone has to come out immediately.
Right.
Because it just becomes too much like what I do in religion.
Right.
I did a video on YouTube about coming out and address several of the problems with that. One thing that I like to ask all atheists, especially public figures, is you were once very much a believer. What was the first thing that made you start doubting?
Yeah. My doubt comes in so many different areas. The first doubt that I had was that the Bible was infallible. Having grown up in the vein of Pentecostalism, which I did, our faith rests upon, of course, personal experience, but also on the infallibility of not just the Bible, but of the King James version of the Bible.
Yeah.
And when I begin to investigate hell and eternal punishment, I begin to very quickly stumble across other ways of looking at hell and eternal punishment, and other ways of looking at the inerrancy of the King James version of the Bible. So the very first layer, if you look at it like peeling an onion, the very first layer that peeled away was the King James version of the Bible. Then later on, after many years, it became the Bible itself. But I still very much had, in my mind, a very personal and strong relationship with Christ. I thought that learning that the Bible was man-made and not God-made was actually making me a better Christian. That's how twisted up this stuff. So it was very late in my religious experience that I ever began to doubt the existence of God, and that was long after I, had held on to my relationship with Christ.
Yes, yeah, I can understand that. I think particularly in the South, we find a lot of people who are tied to this idea that the Bible, everything in it is the absolutely infallible Word of God.
Well, recently a news article came out saying that Knoxville was the #1 Bible-believing city in the United States.
Yeah.
So we're fighting that here.
Yeah, here we are, right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very scary. Whenever people take the Bible literally, first, we know that they really don't. We know they really don't take it literally. Because if they did, they could not live a life of modernity.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Bible, if you live the Bible accurately and literally, you could not function in the 21st century. So we know they don't. We know everyone has a cafeteria plan and they pick and choose what they want. But believing that they take it literally is it's really a frightening situation.
Yeah, well, a lot of them certainly do pick and choose so far as behavior concerns or practices. I mean, they will easily point to passages in the Old Testament that might concern homosexuality, but not at all pay any attention to the dietary laws, which make up a much larger part of the Old Testament.
That's correct. That's correct.
So true.
And even within the New Testament, you don't have a Levitical code within the New Testament the same way you do in the Old Testament, obviously. Right. But if you want to try to mimic the lifestyle of the early Christians, such as giving up all of your possessions. The early church apparently was so communal that if someone held back a piece of property, God would kill them.
Right. Right. That's what really upsets me about some of these TV evangelists or these megachurch preachers preaching that God wants you to be rich. You know.
Right.
One of the sayings that's going around the internet now is that the conservative Christians are railing against liberals every day of the week except Sunday they go to worship one.
I hadn't heard that. That's funny. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is funny that the word, or at least the political title of communist is such a curse word. But yet, when you look at the early church, it's very communal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jesus absolutely preached it, communism,
Right.
as it were.
Yes, absolutely.
So you say that the Clergy Project has over 500 people in it now, and growing?
Close to 500 members
Wow.
now. And now the majority of those are support. The majority of those are considered to be alumni. And only a little over 100 or so would be considered to be active. And really, Catherine, the executive director, is the best one for that. But I'm looking right now, and it says total membership is 480 alumni and active clergy members.
Very good.
Wow.
And so, as you would expect, because of U.S. demographic ministry, 87% are male, but almost 13% are female. And then the most common denominational affiliation is Baptist, followed by Pentecostal, and then Catholic. There are 6 Jewish rabbis. There are 2 imams. There are alumni. And then, let's see, it's mostly, of course, from the U.S. And then 43 out of our members have identified from other parts of the world, the most being from Canada, then the British Isles, and all continents presented along with several islands.
And you talk about losing the 4 F's when you left the church.
Yes, right. That works very well, doesn't it? I'm glad you remembered that.
You lost finances, the favor of the community, you lost your friends, and the final F was family. And I can't help but think that those poor imams that are in there are worried about losing their lives as well.
Absolutely. It's another one of these situations where, my complaints about coming out of religion are really, first world complaints. There are obviously people who are also developing a secular worldview that are in a much more precarious situation. So, if we can get our act together very cleanly and in an excellent way here in the first world, maybe eventually we can help in other parts of the planet as well.
Except in Iran, and they don't have any homosexuals. They probably don't have any Jesus.
They don't have any. Yeah.
Oh, no doubt either, right? No doubt.
As I understand it, there is an atheist church in London right now that's being pretty successful.
Yes, very, very successful. I think they refer to this as the Sunday Assembly, I believe.
Yeah, I forget exactly what it's called, but
Right. And they just did a tour through the U.S. I think it just ended this week. So they came over and I guess they did some missionary work in the U.S.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, that's interesting. So, do you keep in touch with other people out of this Clergy Project to see how things are going with them?
Oh, sure. Now, I don't go into the forum, the Clergy Project forum, as I did whenever I was trying to find my way out of the ministry. And it's for a couple of different reasons, but the main reason has just been because of time, being so busy.
Yeah.
Since being outed, it's just been like a marathon, running from one event to the next and one situation to the next. But I do stay in contact with other Clergy Project members place you're ever going to want for a relationship.
No, we certainly invite you to come to Knoxville. If you can get here on a Tuesday, Friday, or Sunday, we'll have a gathering for you.
Well, we can probably make a gathering at any time if we really want to. Yeah.
That would be great.
So
maybe now we can do a book signing. We'll have Hope After Faith do the event.
That'd be cool.
That brings up another point I'm interested in. I don't know how much you've thought about it, but how do you get the word out about your church?
Oh, about the church. Well, we really, and this is more of the pastor side of me, and, once again shows a weakness in being an evangelist or a marketer. My biggest concern has really been with just operating the church for the sake of the people who had originally asked for it.
Uh-huh.
And I would be comfortable. I'm going to be very blunt here. I talked to some of the future church members, and they're actually afraid for their lives.
Really?
Some of the criticism about having a quote-unquote atheist church here in the Deep South, some of the criticism has been frightening. Some of the criticism has been very frightening. Some ministers have made it very plain that they simply will not allow this to exist, and have made the accusations that we're out to, destroy, the good that religion has done within this part of the South, and that we're out to destroy their children, and the lives of their children, and steal their children away from faith. And nothing could be further from the truth. What we would really enjoy doing is being showing humanistic values so clearly that maybe we can actually build a bridge and have interfaith works. We would always maintain our very strict standards of secular philosophy, but we would not in any way be offended to help churches feed the poor or any other type of charitable actions that they might be involved in.
Right.
We're not here to hurt, we're only here to help.
Right.
You're there to form a community.
Right, but a lot of them may feel that this will start causing them to lose their grip on individuals and their congregations.
It could, and they definitely, from the evangelical mindset, and like I said, I can't be judgmental towards this because I was there at one time.
Yeah.
The evangelical mindset is going to very understandably believe that we are an instrument of that we are part of a satanic attack against the kingdom of God. So,
Yeah, and no matter how much you try to tell some of these people that you don't believe Satan's any more real than God is, they won't believe you.
Well, they'll say it doesn't matter whether you believe in it or not, you're still working for it.
right. And just the fact that you don't believe in it, in their minds, would make you more vulnerable to the inside.
Right. Well, Jerry, we've got about 5 minutes left. Would you like to take those about 5 minutes and talk a little bit more about the hope after faith?
Sure. I really hope, and of course, one of the reasons I'm a horrible evangelist is because I'm a horrible salesman, and I hate self-promotion, or at least I hate being accused of self-promotion.
Yeah.
But it has to be done, in the real world. If the secular community, if just the secular community would rally around this book and make it a bestseller, then it would bring our message to the mainstream in a way that you think has so far. And it would bring the common man atheism to the mainstream in a way that you think has so far. So I would hope that every single person who listens would go to hopeafterfaith.com, learn about the book. You'll quickly see that this is a book unlike any other that you've read out of the secular movement. It's my memoir, and you walk step by step with me through this journey. It's not a deconversion tool unless walking through the journey with me were to affect you that way. But I really hope that the entire secular community will get behind this, because if they do, I think we're going to really impress so many humanists within the religious world in a way that we haven't been able to affect them before.
Is this book available in electronic format yet?
It is, and also the audio version will be coming out in the next couple of months. So all the formats will be available. And right now, if they go to hopeafterfaith.com, then they can buy it online if they choose to. But it's in bookstores everywhere. It's a major publisher. That's why I'm emphasizing that if we can get behind this book, we can take our message mainstream just because of the power of the publishing industry that's behind it.
Yeah,
You can get it almost anywhere.
I think it's great to write these stories because people can relate to the individual's progress as they go through life. They like stories about people. And in that sense, when you do sort of a biography, then I think it will appeal to an awful lot of people in that context, rather than just us sitting up here trying to argue about the classical arguments for or against God or something of that sort.
It takes all kinds, and I hope this book is able to reach people that maybe normally would not be reached by the classical argument. But it definitely takes all kinds, and I hope this is just another piece of the puzzle.
Well, that's great. I think we'll go out and maybe buy a couple and just share them around at the Rationalist or
Community library.
Yeah, start up a community library.
Any groups that would like to have me Skype into their meeting or just free books, if they'll contact me and show me that they purchased free books, and I can help them find other ways of purchasing them, we'll Skype in, and that's much cheaper than flying me or driving me across the country. So we're doing everything we can to try to make this story part of the mainstream conversation.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Sounds good. We haven't had any callers call in and tell you that you're probably going to hell or anything. But I'll ask one question on their behalf that I know would be coming anyway. What if you're wrong?
Yes. If I'm wrong, I'm also wrong in a lot of other ways. And so the question of what if I'm wrong? Well, what would right look like? I could just as easily be wrong about Buddha, just as easily wrong about Krishna, just as easily wrong about so many other religions as I was wrong about this one. But if in particular, if I'm wrong and the Christian God does exist in the way that he was taught to me, then I absolutely cannot wait to meet him.
Yeah.
I've got lots of questions.
To be sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, we're coming down at the end of the show. We got about 1 minute and 15 seconds left. And thank you very much for joining us on our show today.
Yeah, this has been
Truly my pleasure.
This has been great. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much, Jerry.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And that was Jerry DeWitt, author of the new book, Hope After Faith, available on all major booksellers now. Time to get your pen and paper out. We're going to be closing the show. This is a Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. Today's guest,
Yes,
Jerry DeWitt, a minister turned atheist who talked to us about his new book, Hope After Faith.
Holy guest. Please send us some feedback. You can leave voicemail at 865-272-9060 or email us at freethoughtforum@yahoo.com.
And we're on every Tuesday from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock on this station, or streaming on live at ctvknox.org.
We'd like to send our thanks to Sam, Jonas, and Forrest for technical support to the staff and to all our